Welcome back to this explainer on the Sanctuary of Ruptured Law. Today, we are stepping into something truly dark. We're diving into a grim fable of psychological collapse, a literal descent into a magical space where the very foundations of reality, law, and meaning are just completely unraveling. What makes this text absolutely fascinating is how perfectly it maps on to a Fichtean dialectic. We start with a super rigid thesis of order, plunge straight into the antithesis of pure chaos, and end up in a terrifying synthesis that shatters everything our protagonist believes. So, grab your metaphorical torches, we're going deep into the dark.
Okay, let's kick this off with a chilling bit of dialogue that captures exactly where we're heading. Just imagine our protagonist, the high priest, muttering this as his entire worldview begins to shatter around him. By the measure of the heavens, the law holds eternal. The words slip like water. This right here, this is the hook of our story. We're following a man whose mind is about to undergo a complete, catastrophic rupture. He expects absolute divine structure, but the chaos of the world above is already leaking down to meet him.
Section 1. The Thesis of Order.
In Fichtean terms, this is our starting point. The high priest represents an unshakable belief in a perfectly ordered world. And, the environment itself immediately sets the stakes for this descent. The source material describes the passageway narrowing, the mortar literally sweating, a thin black liquid that smells of extinguished incense and older, wetter earth. The silence here isn't just quiet. Actually, it's more like a heavy presence, absorbing every single unnecessary sound. Our high priest descends with incredible confidence. His sandals leave absolutely zero echoes. He moves with this practiced economy of movement, a man who knows in his bones that sacred spaces punish haste. He is the absolute embodiment of our thesis, measured, calm, and deeply, deeply ordered.
Section 2. Dragonglass and Elderwood.
Before we trace his steps any farther, we really need to understand the magical architecture of this world. First up, we have dragonglass. Think of it as this magical medium of transparent stillness. It's used to preserve history, specifically the faces and names of past priests. But, and this is crucial, it has a fatal flaw. It is deeply vulnerable to contradictory forces. It traps time and memory, creating this brilliant, almost graphic novel-like visual of hammered glass masks staring out into the dark. It's meant to be permanent, for sure, but as we'll see, permanence is an illusion in this sanctuary.
Now contrasting that rigid, static dragonglass is the living elderwood. This isn't just dead timber, it's a restless, magical wood that literally pushes through stone and structure. The text beautifully describes its roots hanging down from the ceiling like unfinished sentences. So right away we have the static, orderly glass competing with the creeping, chaotic nature of the living wood. The architecture itself is fighting a dialectical war.
Section 3. The 3 Successive Landings.
We're now going to physically trace this catabasis, this mythological descent into the underworld, step by step. The tension really builds across 3 distinct landings in the dark. Step 1 is the first landing, featuring a broken stele meant to record the names of priests. But magic leaking from the artifacts above is already loosening the carved letters, causing them to shift beneath the stone like restless insects. Step 2 brings us to the antechamber of masks. And Step 3 is the final, steep descent, where those elderwood roots hang in a cold, strangely electric air. With every single step downward, the environment becomes less fixed and way more unstable.
Let's look a bit closer at that second landing, because it's a real game changer. I've paraphrased some incredible imagery from the text here. The ancestors sleep in transparent stillness, yet their eyelids flutter with negation, and their glass skin cracks into contradictory smiles. This is the creeping influence of 2 forces from the city above, negation and chaotic becoming. They are silently altering the dragonglass masks. One mask's eyelids flicker, then sprout these luminous cracks that form new, totally contradictory expressions. History is literally changing around the priest, and yet, blinded by his thesis of order, he walks right past it, completely unaware.
Section 4. The Antithesis of Chaos.
So we reach the lowest sanctuary, and here the Fichtean antithesis violently collides with our priest's worldview. His expectation? To find an unbroken grammar of law and measure, a final, definitive text that could cure the chaos running rampant in the city above. But the dark reality he actually steps into? An empty, negative depression on an altar, waiting for a scroll that simply isn't there anymore, surrounded by a shifting, deeply unstable mosaic. He sought ultimate meaning and, well, he found a literal void.
The priest kneels at this empty altar and begins his 40-year-old ancient invocation, fully expecting a steady, answering light.
But no light comes. Instead, we get this visceral horror. The mosaic of the serpentine dragon beneath him stirs. The glass scales flex with a sound like distant pages turning. The magic from the runes above pulses downward, and the dragon awakens in a closed circle of failed order. His prayer doesn't bring the divine. It awakens a primordial, chaotic failure.
Section 5. Collapse of the High Priest.
This is the exact moment the physical breakdown becomes a catastrophic psychological rupture. I just love how the text portrays this breakdown because it is a rapid-fire intrusion of pure terror. As the magic pulses, hitting the priest's sternum with an immense, intimate pressure, negation begins erasing his memorized sequences. Words he's spoken for 40 years slip from his mind like water. And then, chaotic becoming just floods that vacated mental space with horrific possibilities. I mean, he imagines the altar becoming a mouth, the mosaic dragon rising to speak, and that empty depression filling with a scroll that writes itself in his own blood. His mind is completely abandoning its structured logic and filling with pure, terrifying instability.
To truly capture this total loss of identity, look at this imagined continuation of his internal monologue. The measure is loss, the altar hungers, my blood is the ink, I am but a clause in the ruptured text. 40 years of disciplined stoic prayer have devolved into these mad, chaotic whispers. His carefully maintained sense of sacred continuity hasn't just cracked, it has been completely pulverized. The high priest as an entity of order, he just doesn't exist anymore.
Section 6. The Ruptured Synthesis. And now we finally arrive at the conclusion of our Fichtean dialectic, where order and chaos merge into a terrifying new reality. Staggering back, his robes flickering with unstable luminescence, the priest comes to a horrifying realization. This sanctuary was never a refuge from the chaos of the city. It is the original unfinished sentence. His descent didn't reaffirm the law, it merely absorbed him into the broken grammar of the universe. The text beautifully notes that he is left kneeling in the dark, breathing the twin scents of dead stars and newborn galaxies. He is no longer the author or the protector of the law. His descent has become just another clause in the very same ruptured text.
Which brings us to the profound question at the very heart of this grim mythic fable. Was this sanctuary ever truly a place of divine order, or was it always just the deep, dark root where the primordial dragon's original failure to achieve total speech was buried? Did the high priest protect a sacred truth, or did he spend his entire life guarding a cosmic mistake? It's a brilliant, lingering thought about the fragile nature of meaning, law, and our desperate attempts to impose order on a chaotic universe. Thank you for joining me for this explainer, and I hope it leaves you questioning the foundations of your own sanctuaries.